Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotels. And today I have CJ with me. Everybody knows CJ. He's a publicist. Who doesn't know CJ? And we're going to talk about when you need to call a publicist. I had to learn this lesson the hard way. And, I'm glad CJ's here because he's able to instruct us on what we need to do, when we need to do it, and how fast it needs to happen. So what's going on, CJ? How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me, Bruce.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
You. The first question I always ask everybody is, how did you get started in this business?
In the hospitality business,
yeah.
You mean? Yeah. So I started off in communications out of college. I worked on political campaigns and I worked with elected officials.
Oh, nice.
Did that for a little bit. I became a journalist covering the technology space for a number of years. Eventually, I got tired of that and covered the healthcare sector for a short stint. And then I found my way to the hotel industry for one of the trade publications. And I was a journalist there for a number of years. And in 2019, I decided it was time to start my own business. And I launched CJ Media Solutions. And I've been doing this ever since and really been enjoying the ride and been enjoying my time in the industry.
Nice. This is like a really tough business.
Sure. Yeah.
I can imagine some of the things that you've been through. My side of the media hasn't always been the best because they always seem to catch you when your pants are down. And I remember this incident that I had. I had this guest. He was sexually harassing my employees. He was actually arrested for burning down another hotel down the street. I didn't know that before, of course.
Yeah, wow.
In. And it was around COVID time. So when I was trying to get rid of this guest to get him out of there, the police would not remove him, saying, you know what, it's COVID, there's nothing we could do. And then that's when I started the eviction process. And what happened was the guy called the media and said, you know what, this guy at this hotel is trying to evict us because of COVID, you know. Meanwhile, it wasn't because, he was sexually harassing my guests and, talk to my staff and wasn't paying. It was because of COVID.
Right.
So I had and once one media team gets a hold of you, the rest just start following suit because they don't want to be beat.
They pile up.
Yeah. So it's like they had this agenda when COVID came out, especially when it came to hotels.
Yeah.
And whatever they needed to do to tell their side of the story instead of the truth, they were going to do it. So what are some of the things that we need to do, steps like 1, 2, and 3, when the media comes after us at the hotel level?
Yeah. So I think the first thing you should be doing is reaching out to somebody in the communication space and do that before an incident happens. You want to find a partner that can help you walk you through different steps, different incidents ahead of time, so you're better prepared to handle them when they do arise. There's nothing better than having preparation for potential incidents. In the hospitality industry, just like other industries, there are incidents that are going to be reoccurring or predictable. So what you want to do is be able to prepare for those, run through different scenarios, have remarks prepared ahead of time, what we call holding statements, for when the media reaches out and contacts you about a particular incident. So I think the top thing for any hotelier would be to prepare for incidents ahead of time.
Nice. Now there's like certain cases where there's it's like something we can't control. I remember there was an incident where this guest had stabbed her husband because she found out she was cheating on him inside the hotel room. I guess the media got a hold of the story, and next thing you know, cameras is at your front door. And they want to know all the details. So what do we need to do in that situation?
Yeah. So again, that's an incident that you can prepare for ahead of time. And with something like that, you have to always be aware of the type of incident. If it's being investigated and it's under investigation, you don't want to provide public comment. That's one of the last things you want to do because it is an ongoing investigation and you don't want to jeopardize it. So in those instances, you want to work with the local law enforcement the authorities you're working with on the particular incident, and work with them to see where they're at with the incident. And if you have media inquiries regarding that particular incident, if it's under investigation, have them reach out to the local authorities, and they'll be able to provide a statement on that. Most of the time, if you're dealing with a journalist who's been around for a while, an experienced journalist, they know that, and they're going to be reaching out to the local authorities on the matter.
Nice. Now, it isn't always bad news. Sometimes there's good news. Like, you know, an employee reaches 25 years, or there was one incident where an employee had saved somebody from choking, like the helmet maneuver, and they were able to save them. Like, when should we get, like, call the news or call somebody and say, hey, we need to get this information out here. Like, the news need to cover this good story. It's not always a bad story. It's a good story.
We forget those feel-good stories, right? We're always worried about the media when there are negative stories. But we do have occasionally those feel-good stories. And I would say keep track of those. Look for those. Look for opportunities in your organization, at your hotel, where you have things that you can share with the local media or trade publications. Keep track of them, so when those arise, you can gather the story, reach out to a local media outlet, and pitch that to them, and hopefully you're able to share that with the local media, because people do love hearing those feel-good stories. But you want to make sure you have the story ready ahead of time for the journalists when you're reaching out to them.
Okay.
Right? So I always say, try to work backwards. So what do you want the story to look like? And then work from there to see what you need to do to fill in the gaps to help a reporter hit that ideal story.
Nice. I tell everyone, listen, contact that person first. Just make sure they're comfortable.
Yes.
Because we have that information inside the incident report. So if they're comfortable, hey, we would like to bring the media in for this particular story. Hey, if it's okay, let's make it happen.
Yeah, speaking about the feel good stories, you want to make sure that the person, if like you said, they're around for 25 years or something like that, you want to make sure that they are comfortable being on camera, because not everybody is. Yeah, and it's the same thing. I work in the hospitality industry a lot, and even with different operators and developers and brands, some executives just really aren't comfortable talking with the media. Yeah. And so the last thing you want to do is put somebody in front of the camera who isn't really comfortable. So you want to make sure that the employee that you're sharing the story about is comfortable or has been media trained to speak with the media before they're on camera. Nice. They're ready for it.
Nice. How often have you found yourself in those situations when you're actually on camera talking to the media? Because, of course, the investors, they don't feel comfortable with that. Yeah. And the general manager, they have a whole hotel operation that run. Like, they don't have time to be arranging different things with the media and so on and so forth. So yeah, I can imagine that puts you in the spotlight quite a bit.
I don't do too much of it. I mean, I do a lot of the work in the industry, so I don't work too much at the property level. So I don't have too many, media interviews when it comes to incidents or sharing the news, especially if it's something feel-good story. Nobody wants to hear from me. They want to hear from the person, at the property level or whatever announcement that you're sharing. So I personally don't run into too many of those, but I can definitely see a lot of people having to deal with that from time to time, and with preparation and understanding the situation, getting the facts straight, and with some media training and practice, they'll be able to deliver.
Nice. Spokesperson, who you think should be the ideal spokesperson? Because when something bad happens, you have investors, you have management, you have attorneys, you have all of these people that are in the mix, and of course you have the person that incident happened to. So someone has to get up there. If they have to talk, who do you feel like should be the best spokesperson to handle that situation?
It depends on the incident, right? If we're talking about a property level incident, I would recommend the GM, again, as long as the GM is comfortable, as long as the GM has been media trained and understands understands the incident. They would be the point of contact. You don't want too many people. You want one person speaking with one spokesperson speaking with the media. So other people at the property, for example, may be receiving media inquiries, but make sure that those are given to the general manager, where those incidents or those inquiries can be handled appropriately.
Nice. Yeah. Any other tips or tricks that you have for the audience that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, again, I preparing ahead of time, understanding the needs of the journalists. That's something that's really big, especially in our industry. If you're working with a lot of the trade publications, it's so important to get to know the journalists in your industry, understanding their needs and what matters to them. Okay. You don't always want to go to them and try to get something out of it.
Yeah.
You want to be able to provide value to them. And if you're able to connect them with somebody who could be a good source, do that. Meet with them at conferences. Find out how you can be of assistance. I think that relationship building is so important, because a lot of what I do isn't necessarily, forcing a reporter to write a story, because I can't do that. And I tell clients that all the time. I can't force them to write a story, right? But I can hopefully get clients in front of some of these journalists where they'll open up my emails and at least see what I'm pitching, and they'll be more likely to respond to what I'm pitching, right? Maybe it's not good for them now, but maybe they'll save it for later on. Maybe it's a better topic for another publication, but you get some sort of a response. And I think the best way to show that progress is really just to build relationships with the reporters in the industry. And if you're working at the property level, I'm sure there are reporters locally that you can work with, get to know. And I think you'll find when you'll do that, you'll be more successful.
Now, when do we call you? Like, should it be immediately before we call anyone else, or like when do we bring you on board?
Well, you should have hired me ahead of time, right? Like I said, you don't want to call me when if there's an incident, right? You want to call me ahead of time so we can prepare you.
Okay.
So you're better equipped to handle an incident, and we have some things in place, and I think that's probably the best bet.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Well, listen, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks.
How can everybody get in touch with you?
You can reach me at cjmediasolutionsllc.com, or you can email me directly at cj@cjmediasolutionsllc.com.
Nice. Yeah. And thank you guys for joining us for another episode. And this is Bruce Jordan and Michael Jordan Hotels signing out.
This episode was brought to you by the Hotel Revenue Bible, the #1 hotel revenue book that has ever been written. It includes revenue management, digital ads, social media marketing, sales, catering, F&B, and more. Grab your copy today at hotelrevenuebible.com.